It was always like life is a big adventure. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, life is still a great adventure.
Yeah.
That was so important because it made it possible for me to take risks.
So, I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since we met a few months back, and I want to ask you some questions that in my digging I couldn't find any answers to. And the first one, Arianna, is just who in your life has influenced you the most to get you to where you are today?
So undoubtedly my mom.
Yeah.
Because actually I tell this story in a new podcast we did called Meditative Story. And it's basically, she's an investor in the Weight Watch company.
You're just promoting your investment.
I hope you notice I lead with your investment. So the point of the podcast is to have people tell a pivotal story in their lives, a little bit like we did at the dinner. And then give meditative prompts for the listener to think of pivotal stories in their lives.
Yeah.
So the pivotal story I picked had to do with my mom, and we'll explain everything to you, which is we were living in a one-bedroom apartment in Athens. We had no money, and I spoke no English.
Wow.
And I was 15. And I was coming back from school, and I saw in a magazine a picture of Cambridge University. And something just really spoke to me. And I got home and I said, Mom, I really want to go there. And she said, you mean you want to go? No, I don't want to go visit. I want to go study there. And everybody else I said that to said, don't be ridiculous. You can't go there, you don't speak English, we have no money, and it's hard for
And you're 15.
and it's hard for English girls to get there. My mom said, let's find out how we can get you there. Anyway, I learned English. I took all the GC, etc. exams that everybody from Barclays Bank here knows about. And more important, though, was the fact that throughout this whole time, she never made me feel that if I didn't get into Cambridge, that would be the end.
Yeah.
It was always like life is a big adventure. And right now we're on the Cambridge adventure. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, life is still a great adventure.
Yeah.
So that was so important because it made it possible for me to take risks and be okay with failing. And I mean, she even actually got 2 cheap tickets to take us to London and then the train to Cambridge because she said, let's go see Cambridge. We didn't go see anybody there, not the admissions office. Just like it was a kind of visualization exercise.
Yeah. How old were you when you went to see it?
I was 17 and I was about to take my exams.
And did it happen? Did you go to Cambridge?
Yes.
Yeah. And what was that like?
It was amazing. It was really a big turning point in my life because I got involved in the Cambridge Union. Again, that was another thing. I had an even thicker accent, and many people there were very, very mean about my accent. But I made myself learn to speak.
Yeah.
I was elected president of the Debating Society,
Wow.
which led to my first book commission.
Yeah.
And so I wrote my first book after college.
Yeah. And was there a dynamic? Was there a gender dynamic in the debate society at Cambridge and rising through the ranks? Was that part of the experience?
There was a definite gender dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah.
About everything, there are many men's colleges, only 3 women's colleges, and there are only exclusively women. There have been, of course, dozens of male presidents. I was the 3rd woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Can we give Arianna a round of applause for that? So, Arianna, we touched on it a little bit at dinner. You mentioned the word mythology. You're a remarkable entrepreneur yourself, and you're in a room of remarkable entrepreneurs. From your experience, what are some of the greatest myths that we tend to hold on to as entrepreneurs?
I think the biggest myth that I'm now dedicating the rest of my life to bust is the myth that in order to be an amazing entrepreneur, you have to be always on, you have to sort of sacrifice your life, your health, your happiness, your family, everything, because you love what you're doing and because it's so important to the planet. And therefore, how can you put anything else ahead of it? And it's a complete and utter myth.
Yeah.
In fact, let's say that all the entrepreneurs present in this room are sociopaths. Can we just assume that?
We can assume it, yeah. There's a couple heads nodding.
Let's just assume that you're all sociopaths and you really couldn't care less about anything else except building an amazing company. Everything that I'm saying, everything that we're working on would make it better, faster, and more effective. So that's really the key. So the way to bust the myth is to convince people that the way we are running companies now and building companies is kind of pre-scientific. Like we buy into data in every aspect of life and business, except when it comes to how to show up and be the best and come up with the best ideas. And yet we all know, it was funny, I had this great conversation with Deep. I don't know, is Deep here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Deep. So Deep was telling me how, he has this poster in his office that says fifth gear. That he has to be always in fifth gear. And then I asked him if he had ever been involved in sport, and he said yes, he was a real athlete, he was training for the Olympics, just real stuff, like everybody here. Nobody it's not like, I played soccer at school. No. I trained for the Olympics, I played chess. I was a grandmaster.
It's all true.
Okay, I got used to it. But anyway, so he said, and he kind of laughed. I think we kind of recognized the mythology, because he said, yes, when I was preparing, there's no way I would have not slept the night before a game, or got drunk the night before, and anything, because I wouldn't have been as good at the game. So it's the same thing now. I mean, we need to take all the principles in sports, in elite sports, Olympic sports, which make it so clear recovery is part of peak performance. It's not like an opposite thing. And one of the things when I launched Thrive that we realized when we made some wrong hires at the beginning, we realized that some of the people who were coming to work for us didn't understand us. They thought we meant, hey, if you want to chill under a mango tree and be a little laid back, come and work here. And so we had to kind of prepare to say, listen, we are very ambitious. We are in hyper-growth mode. We are not saying that this is a 9-to-5 job. What we are saying is that if you have to pull an all-nighter because you are shipping a product or work over the weekend, we are giving Thrive time. That's one of the things we've instituted that I highly recommend.
Love that.
So people know there will be intense periods, but then take Thrive time to recharge, which is so much better for the company. Do you want somebody coming in after working all weekend, being exhausted, unproductive, not coming up with their best ideas, and probably getting sick? That's the other thing. Your immune system is suppressed, you are more likely to get sick. So that's kind of one. There are many, many tools and techniques that we use and that I'm going to send to everybody here who wants them, that show how we can combine the hyper-growth, high-intensity with recovery and recharging.
And what does Thrive time or recovering and recharging look like for you?
So for me, let me start with, as you know, because we talked about it at dinner, the wake-up moment was when I collapsed from burnout and hit my head on my desk, broke my cheekbone.
When was this?
In 2007. It was 2 years into building the Huffington Post, having completely bought into the founder myth, and also being the divorced mom of 2 teenage daughters. So it was like, and I knew the only way to be super mom and super founder was to basically not sleep, etc., etc. So I collapsed.
You literally collapsed.
Literally.
Like you were.
I got up from my desk to get a sweater because I was cold, and I hit my desk. I collapsed and hit my head on my desk.
Wow.
And It was really the best thing that happened to me because I probably would be dead otherwise. But it also got me, because I'm a bit of a nerd, studying all the latest science, recognizing that burnout is a global epidemic. In fact, the World Health Organization acknowledged it as such in May. And it's having a huge impact on our health, on productivity. But right now, let's focus on the impact it's having on entrepreneurs. And we're seeing it. I mean, most recently with WeWork, a company completely fueled by burnout, where Adam Newman thought he would have board meetings that started at midnight and go on until 4. Everybody had to wait and do that. And let's say that all he cared about was WeWork. Look at the results. A company valued at $47 billion in January is valued, according to today's news, at $8 billion.
Yeah. 8 million?
8 billion.
8 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and who knows? This is still the theory of what they're aiming
Where
to.
it's going.
Where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's really why, for me, it will be so amazing if this unreasonable community can actually write about these things, introduce elements in the way companies are run, and really be able to dispel the myth.
Yeah.
Because the myth will have to be dispelled from within the arena.
Yeah.
It can't be theoretical.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chris is here, but I learned so much. Like, Chris was amazing. He promised to write about it, but he ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
With his clearly so exhausted and burnt out that his numbers, they didn't even know what was wrong with him. They thought he might have AIDS or something. And then what he did is he slept for 2 days and all his numbers changed.
Yeah.
So it's like, these are amazing stories. They are powerful stories that can really change behavior.
Yeah. Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Then we'll open it up. And it's the same question I asked Christina. The work you're doing is so important. It's so unbelievably important because it is an epidemic, right? How can we help you? You're here as a mentor, I know, but I also feel like this community can rally behind you and support. How can we help accelerate your growth?
Thank you so much. Well, the first thing is you telling your stories. And your stories will be both for our Thrive Media platform that has about 36 million users across all our platforms.
Not that many.
But more important, for our Thrive Behavior Change product that we just launched. It's only B2B. We only launch it to companies.
Yeah.
And very happy to make it available to anyone here. But the goal of that product is to use the best of artificial intelligence and the best of human wisdom and poetry and storytelling to shift behavior. So
Within a company?
within individuals and therefore within companies.
Yeah.
So anybody here who is in AI or data collection, we would love that. We just 2 days ago bought a company that was the leader in AI neuroscience-based behavior change.
Yeah.
Because the goal is, we now know that the only way to change behavior is through micro steps, not through New Year resolutions. That doesn't work. So we have over 700 micro steps that we are feeding through this behavior change product. So you pick a journey you want to work on. It could be on sleep, nutrition, movement and exercise, or mental health, broadly defined. And this AI technology is going to help us give you the best micro step for you, very personalized, and also give you the best story for you. Like somebody may really be moved by Chris's story or Deep's story, or any number of other stories we have, but the more personal for them, the more of an impact it's going to have. We are also launching in 2 weeks a feature called Reset, which is again based on the neuroscience that we can course correct from stress in 60 to 90 seconds, which is incredibly optimistic because we're never going to eliminate stress. the problem is not stress, it's stress becoming cumulative.
Yeah.
So through this, what we're doing with this reset program, and I'd love you all to participate, is we ask you to send us all the different elements, pictures, quotes, poetry, music that are joy triggers for you. And then mix them into a reset guide.
Yeah.
So let's say you leave a stressful meeting, you just got some bad news from a VC who didn't understand the immensity of your... you just play your reset guide. Like my reset guide has pictures of my daughters when they were young and unproblematic. It has, my favorite quotes, including the one from Rumi, live life as though everything is rigged in your favor. It has my current favorite song. My favorite songs change every couple of weeks because I play them on repeat endlessly. Right now, my favorite song, in case you're interested, is Taylor Swift, You Need to Calm Down. And just, literally just playing that reminds me of all the things I'm grateful for, brings me back to myself. Who was I talking to about the state of flow? Yeah. When we are in that place, we can create magic. Which is what you've all done in one or another when we're at our best, right? We can solve huge problems, we can look around corners, we can create miracles, or we can just kind of put our head down and just keep going even when we're exhausted with increasingly diminishing returns. So in any of these areas that you have ideas, stories to tell, some companies you may know of that are willing to be acquired, that will help us with inorganic growth. We are in for everything. We're very like to have a great group of investors, some institutional and some personal, who care about these topics, like Mark Benioff and Ray Dalio and Sean Parker, who really kind of have come to believe that we need this change in our companies and in our lives. And so that's where we're at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Arianna, I think from the outside, people probably see you as a titan of industry and journalism and media and now well-being. But just having you here today as a mentor, I think the biggest thing that's shown to me is just warmth and kindness, and you've brought that into this community, and you're creating magic. You're helping us all create magic. We couldn't be more grateful. Let's thank Arianna. Woo!